Code Afric. Unlock the future.
Welcome to this beautiful and awesome lesson, guys. We are moving forward, and in this section, we are going to build our services mockups here, okay? And we'll be doing that by using some Bootstrap classes and some pseudo properties of CSS3. Look at how awesome it is. You can see how nicely it looks like. Okay, we are going to build this, and to begin with, okay, you can see in our main project, you can see that we don't have any scroll here. So let's create a custom property that will give us access to scroll. Okay, so I'll come to my styles, then at the very top here, I will later change it, but let's put something there. We'll call the body, then I'll give it a height of, let's say, 2000 pixels. Okay, something like this. All right, now let's check. Now we can scroll it nicely. So from here, we have to come to our index.html, and in this very end section here, we are going to create our services section. I'll come here, then I'll paste it, paste this one here, then I'll change it to our services. Okay, so services mockup starts from here and it ends here. All right, so I'll call for my section and I'll give it a class of services area. Okay, and I think I have to give it an ID. Okay, you understand the reason why I'm giving it an ID. So the ID call services. Okay. All right. So inside here, I have to call some container and some rows. Now let's go ahead and create our container and our row. Okay. Now inside here, let's specify the grading system. So column extra small. So okay, I hope you get it. With the Bootstrap grading system, I hope you understand it. Okay. All right, container. All right, so let me create a class that we've not defined it yet. And I would like to call it section title. All right, so section title. All right, so this class, we've not defined this class at anywhere, so we will later define it. Okay, then let's use a custom Bootstrap class called test center so that it will align all the things at the center for us. It's supposed to be in. Okay, so something like this, test center. Then we close it here. All right, so inside this is where we are going to put this one. Okay, that is where we are going to specify these services and also this written here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I think we have to give this one h2 and this one will be a paragraph tag. Okay, so we'll do h2 and we'll call our services. We'll call for services, something like this. But then I would like to put it into a bold tag, okay, which is the B tag. I'll cut and bring it here, okay, to make it bold. Okay, now what I will need next is my paragraph. Okay, the paragraph test. So inside the paragraph, I'm going to put in this. Written. You can ask questions regarding to the issues. We will solve that together. So we put it here. All right. So before anything, let's save it and let's check it in a browser. Scroll down, and we have something like this. Okay. Okay. But then we have to break the sentence here. Okay. Like how you are seeing from the original. Okay, so we break it from the wheel. So we enter into our project and we use the BR tag here. We break it nicely. Then we have it here like this. All right. So now let's go ahead and create this mockups here. So we can see that we have it how many? 1, 2, 3, and here is 2. Okay. So let's see how we do it. There's a spacing here, so we use the BR tag to do that. All right, so back to our HTML and the BR tag. I think I have to break it here if you want to check where the columns, as you can see the row ends here. So I'll bring the BR here. I need it 2 times. Then inside here is where we are going to do the work. All right, now to start with, I would like to create a div with a class row. Okay, then inside the row, I'm going to create a div with a class. I will give it a column, medium, screen size, then I'll give it 4. Now, why am I giving it 4? Okay, you might ask. I think I've taught this one already in my Bootstrap lessons. 12 divided by 4 will give us 3. Okay, so we can see 3, 1, 2, 3. So when we divide into 4 sections, that's where we get our 3 here. All right. Now, if you don't understand it, you have to visit my Bootstrap lessons and do diligence to that, where I talk about the grading system. It has been really explained there. All right. So I'll give it column MD12. And with this, like, I am good to go. Okay, but let's specify to other screen sizes. Okay, so this is a medium screen, which is on our laptop screen. So let's do it for the rest of the screen sizes. So I'll do column SM, okay, which is our small screen size being tablet. Then we said then 6. Then we do the same thing to column extra small, which is our phone screen sizes. Then we will give it what, 12. Awesome. All right, so inside here, let's create another class with a different name, and I would like to call it service. Then we will do wrap. Okay, so because we're going to wrap them. All right, so here let's give it a test center so that it will vertically align all the tests at the center for us. Okay, so here is where we are going to work on the icons. Okay, you can see this custom icons here. It all has the custom icons. So we'll see how to work on that one too. All right, so here I'll create a div with a class and I'll call it service icon. All right, something like this. And inside here is where I'm going to call my font awesome. Okay, and again, when you come to the top here, you can see that we have linked our font icons. Okay, font awesome icons here. All right, so I'm just going to call them here. Okay, I'm just going to call them. All right, so let's call that class. So we call index, then we will do font awesome, and the name of the first one is leaf. Okay, if you check it from here, you can see that it has a leaf icon. Okay, now, and then the next one is what, like a laptop, then the hat. All right, so here will be leaf. Okay, something like this. Sorry. Okay, so something like this. All right, now I'll come here, and this is where I'm going to this is where we are going to call the development and also a section for the login zoom, the text here. Okay. All right. So here's where I'm going to put my title. So I'll need like H3 for that. So inside the H3, then I'll call my development. Okay. So outside that, I will need my paragraph tag. Okay. My P tag. Then I will call my login zoom. Okay. It's a random text. If you don't have it, you can install that extension. Okay. When you type login zoom, you get it. Okay, let me break it nicely. Okay. Before anything, let's save it and check if we have anything at all. And there we go. There we go. We have it here. All right. All right. So now where we have gotten to, if you love typing, then you have to retype all this by yourself again. Okay, starting from here, you have to type everything. But if you don't like typing, you can copy it. Okay. So I have copied it. If you want to know where to start copying from, you have to just click on the cursor like this. You can see that this one, it has identified the end of my div here. So I will highlight it like this. How many times do we need it? We need it. We need an additional 2. Okay. So I'll come down like this. Then I'll paste. Then I'll come down like that again, and I'll paste. Okay. Now I have to change the heading and the font. The font awesome name. Okay. Now I will change the second one title to support. Okay. So to support. And the third one, I have to change the second one, the leaf, I'll have to change it to hat. Okay. Then I will change this one to the third one to marketing. Then I'll change the font awesome. No, I have to change this one rather to hat. Then I will change this one to laptop. Okay. Okay, something like this. Now before anything, let's check it. Let's save it and check it. And there we go. You can see that we have it here, our development, our support, and our marketing. Now, the next thing to work with is the next one, okay, the one that follows at the bottom. I think this section. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now before we move on, I would like us to do something. The test here is kind of many, okay, so we can choose to take some out. Okay, so something like this, or better still, if you want to get an accurate work, I can still come here and there and just copy this one. Okay, just copy this one. I will just replace it with the ones that I have here already. Okay, I will copy it like this and replace it here. I'll do same to this one. Okay, now we want this one. Okay, so we want the one at the on the next row. We want them here. To do that, if you like, you can type the whole thing again all by yourself. But if you don't like typing, then you have to be very vigilant when you are doing copy and pasting here, because you can make lots of mistakes. All right. So with my VS Code, I have some advantage here, because I want to copy from where the row starts. No, this row. I would like to start from this row. Okay. And with my VS Code, when I click on it like this, it's in the line 98. When I click on this like that, it shows me where my div ends. Okay, you can see that it has been highlighted it for me. I don't know if yours works like that, then you are good to go. So the end of this div is in line what 141. So all what I have to do is to grab it like here, and I will highlight it like this. Okay, so like 141. Then I can copy it. I can copy it carefully. Then from here, I will paste them in here. Copy and paste, please. If you don't take time and do it diligently, you will make lots of mistakes. Now, let me check it first. Before anything, let me check it from my browser if I am on the server side. Yes, there we go. I'm at the server side. So I only have to change my title with my icons. Okay, I only have to replace them with the right ones. All right. All right. So after the marketing, okay, the next on the line is the insurance. Okay, so the insurance and the font, awesome. I'll give it COJS. This you can check from here. So this is the marketing. Where the marketing ends, that's where we are continuing from. Now, the next on the line, the fifth one will be, we call it design, and the fonts will be diamond. Okay, the font awesome will be diamond, and I think the last one. All right, so on the last section, the font awesome, I'll make it COG. Okay, this is the code, and I'll change this one to the web design. Okay, now let's have a look. Let's check it from the browser. And I think we have them, okay, as expected. All right, so now I think we are through with our mockups, okay. So we have to enter into the CSS and write some design to it, okay. But before we go, we can see that the spacing here and here, okay, especially here, the spacing there is kind of different, okay. So we need more space there. So I'll come to the beginning of the project and I'll put a BR tag, okay. You don't have to worry yourself writing some margins or paddings. Let's use the break in our HTML to do that. And let's check it. Okay, now it's looking awesome. And the next thing to do is we come to our CSS. You can see we gave it a height, okay, a custom height. So now we gave it the height in order to have an access to this place. Now that we have it, now let's go and remove it, okay. I told you we will remove it when the time comes. So we come here and we take off that height. Now let's check it. Okay. Now we have something like this. Okay. Awesome. All right. So now let's dive into our CSS section. And we'll begin with a comment. Okay. So let's begin with a comment. So how do we name it? So services. All right. So I'll call it services styles. Then I will end it here. Okay. All right. So the next thing to do is we have to locate our HTML and see where to style it from and which class to use. Okay, so when we come here, we have what are the first class that we created. All right, so then now the row that fall within the development is what? The service wrap. Okay, so now we can copy it like this, then we bring it here, then we start writing some styles to it. But before we start with the styling, when we come here, when we hover over it like this, we can see that it has some hover effects, and we're going to use some pseudo classes in Bootstrap to do that. Okay, there are a lot of pseudo classes that we can take advantage of. So before we start, we can see that there are some boxes here. It is called the custom boxes. So let's take advantage of that. And when we check, there's a shadow, okay, around the edges. So let's go and use that one. All right. So I'll come here, then I'll call my box shadow. Then I'll give it a property of 0, value of 0, 0, then 10 pixels. All right, then I will give it an RGB alpha, and the RGB alpha means the red, green, and blue, and the alpha gives it an opacity. Okay, so I'll give it 0, 0, 0, 0.000, then I'll give it 0.2. So 0, 0, 0.2. Okay, so before anything, let's check. All right, so before we will take a look, let's go further. So let's give it an overflow. All right, so we give it an overflow, then we say hidden. Okay, the reason why we are doing that is that we don't want any overflow. We want it to stick into the box that we are giving to it. So we can go ahead and also give it a padding from top to bottom. We give it 25 pixels, and from the left and to the right, we give it 35 pixels. All right, so from here, let's give the position, then we give it relative. Okay, so we'll give it a relative position. We have absolute and co. Okay, so but let's go with the relative. All right, and remember it's a class. Okay, so don't forget to blink the dots. Okay, all right, so before anything, let's check it and see what you're doing. Okay, now we can see that we have something like this. Gradually we are moving forward. Okay, now let's add some more properties to it. So let's give it a transition, and then with the transition we say all, then we give it 0.5 seconds, then we give it an ease in. Okay, all right, so let's save that one too, and let's check it. Awesome. Let me refresh and see. All right, so when we check our project, you can see that the demarcation is not, it is not ordered in place. Okay, so the way it has been demarcated, you can see that this one has been well demarcated. But when it comes to our project, you can see that here, you can see they're still sticking to each other, and there is no proper demarcation. So we will use the Z effect to do that. Okay, so there's a property called Z index. Okay, so when we type Z index, then we can give it any property. Now let's give it a 9. Then we can also give it a margin top property of 20 pixels. All right, now let's check it. Awesome. You can see that now we have a proper demarcation. All right, let's move on. All right, friends, now let's implement some pseudo properties to add more functionalities to our project. So with a pseudo property, I'll call my service wrap. All right, so here I have to call before, then I'll call my service wrap again, then I have to give it after. Okay, now it's a pseudo property. The next thing to understand is that it comes with a content, so you have to call the content, and the contents, when we give it an empty property like this, it remain an impotent. Then let's give it a height. You can set the height, let's say 300. All right, so at a stand now, we are having an error in our code because the column that we inserted here is double, so we wanted something like this, and here too you have to take 1. Okay, so it's supposed to be something like this. Okay, all right, so we give it a 300%, and the position, let's give it a position. So with the position, let's give it absolute. All right, so we give it a transform, and we say rotate to what's 45. Okay, 45 degrees, and we give it a width of 120%, and let's give it an Z index, and in this time let's give it -9. Okay, then we give it a transition effect, and or we say 0.5 seconds. Then we come to opacity, give it opacity of 0. Now let's give it a background. When we hover over it, we're supposed to be getting a background color, and I would like to go with the hash code 34495E. Okay, so now when we save it and check, we don't have much. Okay, it is still like before. So what we have to do is we still have to work with the pseudo properties. Okay, Now with this one, we use a double pseudo property, which is the before and the after. So now let's call for the before. Okay, we'll still use the pseudo property, then we call for the before. Okay, something like this. All right, so now let's give it a top. With a top, let's give it a negative number, 37 pixels. Then we give it a left of 100%. Okay, so now with this, when we save and check, we will not still have anything. Okay, we have to work with the hover effect also for us to get something. So I will copy this one and I will paste it here. Okay, then I will bring the hover here. So it will be like hover before, and I'll do away with the top. Then with the left, I'll give it like minus 27 pixels, and I'll give it opacity. Let's give it opacity of one. Okay. All right. So now let's save it and check in our browser. So when you come to the browser, let's hover over it and see. Okay. Okay. It is coming. Gradually, it is coming. Okay. So now we have worked for the before. So we have to come in and work for the after. And to work for the after, I will copy the before here. I will copy it here. Then I will come here and paste it. All right. So first thing first, let me change the before to after. Then let me take this ones off. Then give it the right value. So I'll give it right. Then I'll give it a negative number of 27 pixels. Then the opacity, I'll give it the opacity of 1. All right, so before anything, let's check it in the browser. Okay, we still don't have much, but don't worry, we will get it. Let's change this one. Let's change this value to, I think 100% will do. Let's change this one to 100%. Then the opacity, let me change the opacity rather to bottom. Then let me give it a negative number of 37 pixels. Now let me check it. Let me see what I have. Okay. All right. I still don't have much, but don't worry, we are moving forward. Now let's create the hover for the service one. For the service after, let's give it a hover. Let's give it a hover, and with the hover, let's give it negative 27, and let's give it an opacity. We give it an opacity of 1. All right. Now let's check it. All right. So we are still working on it. Okay. All right. So this time we are all working together. Okay. We are cracking our brain together. So this time I will still have to copy this one. I'll copy this one. Okay. Then I will paste it here again. All right. So then I will the hover. I'll make it wrap service wrap hover. Then I will change the values here, and I will rather give it a color of white. Okay. All right. Now before anything, let's check it first whether we have something at all. Wow. Okay. It is coming gradually. All right, guys, clap for yourself. We are doing it. All right. But we are trying, okay? We are cracking the brain to get it working. Okay, we want to get it like this, exactly as this one. Okay. We want it like this. And we can see that we are putting much effort. We are close. We are very close, no matter how we get it. Okay. Now, so let's copy. Let's copy this one again. Then at this time, let's come to the HTML and let me show you something. So with the HTML, what is the service? Yeah, the development. Now let's tackle the H3 header. Okay, let's tackle this header too, and let's see what happens. So we come to the style. Then as we've copied this one, then with the hover, we would add the H3 here. Okay, let's add the H3 here like this. Okay, so now that we add the H3, let's leave the color. Now let's take the hover too. Okay, let's take the hover out. So it will be service wrap H3. All right, so when we save and check, we still don't have much. Okay, then moving forward, let's copy it again, paste it. Then this time, let's bring the hover. Service wrap hover, then H3. All right, now let's wait for the icons. Okay, so with the icons, we can see that it is too small. Okay, so let's wait for the icons, and we can find the icons inside our service. Okay, so with the service, you can see that we have a service icon. So we reference dot service icon, then the I. Now let's go to the CSS and do that. Then the service icon, then the I, which is the icon. Now let's give it a font size of 30 pixels, and let's give it a margin bottom of 20 pixels. Then we give it a transition effect. Then we do all 0.5 seconds. All right, now let's check it. Let's save it and check it first. Okay, now we can see that our icons is bold enough now. Okay, all right. Now coming back, we are still working. Okay, so coming back in the service, let's call the service wrap and let's add some hover to the service icon at a go. Okay, so we do dot service wrap, then we add the hover, then we call the service icon class, and we call the I, which is the index. Okay, like this. All right, so here let's give it a transform property. So we call transform, and we give it a value of rotate, and we rotate it to 360 degrees. Okay, 360 degree. All right, now let's save it first and let's check it in the browser. Okay, and we can see, wow, we can see our icon is rotating. Wow, our icon is rotating nicely. Awesome. Okay, let's keep on working. Okay, now we come here. Now I'll call for the service wrap again. Then I'll give it the H3. All right, so the service wrap with the header H3. Now let's work on the font size. Let's give it a 25 pixels, and let's work on the font weight, font weight, and let's give it 700 pixels, like bold. Let's give it 700. Okay, it works like the bold. Then we give it a padding, not padding, but padding bottom. Okay, then we give it like 150 pixels. Then we give it a position. Then we give it absolute. Okay, so let's give it a relative rather. All right, so when you save it and check it from the browser, you can see that it has added some weight to the font in the development, which is the header. Okay, now let's go ahead and work with the paragraph. Okay, let's work with the p tag. So we will do service wrap, then we reference the p tag. Now inside we give it a font size of 14 pixels, and we give it a margin button of 0. Okay, something like this. Now let's save it and check. Okay, this one is for the ratings here. Okay, the login zoom. All right, guys. Now moving forward, I would like us to target the main class, which is the service area. When it comes to the HTML, you can see that the service area is the main class. Okay, then let's target that one and give it some margin. Okay, so I'll come to the CSS section at the very top. Okay, so here at the very top, I will like to reference the service area. Then I'll give it a margin top property of 30 pixels, and also let me check. Okay, all right. Now I'll come to, let me copy this one here again, and I'll reference the paragraph tag. Then I will change the margin bottom. With the margin bottom, I'll give it a negative number of 5 pixels. All right, now let's save it and check it in the browser. Okay, so everything is awesome. Okay, we've done everything. Now everything is okay in comparing to this one, with the exception of only one thing. Okay, the way it is easing. Okay, the easing is not helping. So let's change the easing. Okay, the easing. Okay, is here. Now let's change the easing to ease. Okay, and let's save it and check it in the browser. Okay, so it's still not as expected. So let's give it a value. Okay, let's give it a value of 0 seconds. Okay, now 0 seconds. Now let's check it now. All right, guys, there's still some error in the code. Okay, even here there was 3. I've made it 4. Okay, and talking about the ease also. So please follow the code and fix those errors. Okay, so after changing some few things, which have to be the ease and also this place. Okay, now let's check our project. Let's check it. And awesome, it is working perfectly as expected. Okay, all right, now we did it. All right, All right, so before we go, let's commit the changes and let's push it. Okay, so we come to our source control here and we give it a commit message. All right, how do we have to call it? Let's call it working with our services section. Let's commit. So now that you have committed, let's push it. Okay, and again, you open your terminal, then you do git push -u. We are still on the main branch. Okay, so origin main, origin. So origin main, hit enter, and boom, everything has been pushed successfully. All right, guys. So congratulations on this one. Okay, let's meet on the next section.